This video, I'm sharing a little bit about my thought process of AI and how it gets deployed into businesses, and me being an AI consultant, what I'm seeing in the space, and kind of the thoughts and feelings that I'm having around the space. And as the tools are becoming easier to use, I'm seeing business owners use them more. And that kind of scares me as an AI consultant. I'm supposed to be paid to come in and deploy these systems into your company. And if you feel comfortable enough to take the reins yourself and open up Claude and start prompting and getting results back and building artifacts and tools for your business, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little scary to think that. But here's the thing: if clients need me less, I actually did my job well. And yeah, my first thought was, okay, this is terrifying. I'm going to be replaced. I'm coming into a business to do a full AI audit on their company, and I see somebody actually in Claude, asking it to do some things on the web and open up co-work and do some stuff. I'm like, well, if you're doing that, like, what am I here for? But here's actually what's interesting is, oh, you're actually asking me to empower you and empower your team so that you can actually do more. Yeah, I'm going to come in and I'm going to build a couple systems for you and help save your team 5 to 25 hours a week doing certain stuff. But at the same time, I'm going to give you the tools and the wisdom so that you can do this on your own after I leave. My job was to never keep people confused. It would be a disservice. Knowing that the power of AI I have seen such a transformation in my own companies and what I'm running and what I'm doing with AI agents and automations and workflows. And the time and the speed, well, first, the time that I'm able to get back, and two, the speed at which I'm able to execute on is bonkers. I have been a business owner for 17 years, and I have never seen anything like this in my life. I'm taking the 17 years of business experience that I have, and I'm helping business owners execute more on the architecture and the underlying systems of the business and deploying these AI agents and workflows and tools and systems into their company and watch them free up time and execute at speed. It makes me so excited. So as I'm getting excited about this, they're feeling that excitement too, and they want a piece of it. So of course they're going to open up Claude. They're going to see, wow, Alan's really hyped about this stuff. Let me see what this is all about. I hear all I got to do is download this thing, and that is the thing. I don't want them to feel confused or feel like there's a roadblock around them. If anything, I want to provide this excitement to them so that they can feel empowered and then also move at the speed that things are moving in the world of AI for their business. Now, are they actually using it well? No, they are not. I come in and they're asking me like, hey, I burned my entire max plan in a day, and I didn't really get any ROI out of it. But the API cost on this cost me $2,000 to finish this project, and that's not worth it. And I'm like, yeah, no crap. Yeah, that's not going to be worth it. You've just deployed this huge model, this big system to produce something that could have taken no time at all, but they're not wielding it correctly. But that's where I come in, and I get to share little tricks and little wins of like how I think about things and how I architect stuff and how the structure should be made. And as I share with them, okay, if you're going to use that, you should probably use this tool or this script or build some sort of automation tool outside of an LLM that can do this for you and then pump the data back in, and that'll save you token costs and everything like that. So now that thing that cost you $2,000 and 1 day and all of your tokens, and it really should have been like $3, is now there's an ROI that can be produced by me coming in and distilling my wisdom into the team so that they can continue to do their work and not feel disempowered by what they've done and what they've built, but they can feel more empowered to do more and take more risks on the company. So the old consulting model that we're all privy to. I've hired so many consultants and agencies in the world, and it's like, hey, can you do this thing for me? And yeah, they go and build it, and they build it in a black box. They give you a login and a password, and that's it. And every time you need to change something or update something, you need to call them up and they need to do it. And I'm like, hey man, like I am trying to split test multiple landing pages and I can't keep calling you every time I want to do a landing page change. Like this is a developer that I hired years ago. Just show me how to do this. And they would not. They're like, oh, it's too technical, blah, blah, blah. We could just do it. Just tell me what you need. And it was just a nightmare. And I really did not enjoy working with that agency. And I've hired so many of these agencies in the past, man. Like I had a development firm and I was running split tests across multiple different landing pages, pushing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in advertising across multiple things. And I had to go to this developer every time to make some updates or changes or deploy new landing pages. And I was like, bro, what you've developed is not helpful. Like just build this system for me that I can go in and do massive testing on my own. And they wouldn't let me do it. They said, oh, well, because of the system and the architecture, just send me an email and I'll get it done. And that just created more work for me, more work for them. And it just wasn't a good relationship. This is the old way. And no one likes working like that. They want to feel empowered. They want to feel, and this is the old way that doesn't work for anyone. So the new way is actually building something, sharing with them what you've built and how they can work with it and help them feel more empowered with using this tool. And then from there, it compounds. They feel more empowered. They're like, oh yeah, I'm getting the hang of this. Oh, hey, could you spin up this thing for me too? And then teach me how to use it? Cool, okay. And now there's this ecosystem that gets built where it's like you build something, you empower them, and you're creating more impact by doing it this way rather than stifling what's happening. And this is a big part of just my philosophy in life is like create an impact and create a way for collaboration and for things to move and breathe in a more harmonious way, kind of like the laws of the universe. Like the universe doesn't constrain things. The universe lets things flow. And what this looks like in real life is I will come into a company and I'll do an audit. And I take my business background and my business acumen to really understand, okay, how does this business work? How are they thinking about things? How does the team operate in here? What are their workflows? What are their customers' life cycle looks like? What are the customer service and the service end? What does that look like? How does this whole thing work together just as it is before I even change anything, adopt anything, build anything? I want to understand how things flow and how things work. Once I understand that, I could see the bottlenecks. I can see the constraints that are happening inside the business, and I unlock the biggest bottleneck, whether it's for the CEO or for the sales team or for the back-end operations. We remove that constraint so that there's a big ROI, so that the team can breathe. And once they see that, they're like, wow, this is amazing. What I used to spend 2 hours a day on is I now literally spend 3 minutes on. Like this is the results that we're able to get with deploying AI and agents into businesses is we can literally free up tens of hours per employee, depending on what it is, per week. And that creates such more leverage and such more capacity for the business to grow and expand. And through that, they feel more empowered, they feel more bought in, they feel more capable. They feel really good about what those quick wins were, and then we can build on there. But the real key thing here is like, we're not just delivering a finished product. We're delivering a finished product with a map of how it all works and why everything is strung together and our thought process behind all of it and the architecture that we put in and why we made something simple or complex in some areas and how this builds into their entire business model. And from there, we then compound. So because we built this cornerstone of the foundation of something that works, frees up time, helps them execute on speed, reduces bottlenecks, generates more revenue. Once we hit that, we can then expand into the other areas of the business. And each one is compounding on top of one another. So yeah, I might have built a system, gave them the tools to feel empowered for it, but the chances are that there's going to be other systems downstream that they're going to want to be built. And if they use me, great. If not, and they feel more empowered to try to build it themselves or deploy it themselves or get somebody else completely, like my job is to just help them build a better business from the value that I create, whether they use me in the future or not. And to be honest, my ego really wants to be hired again. And my ego really wants to continue doing work with them again. But my soul says, give them value, produce as much as possible, empower them as much as possible so that they can flourish and so that they can actually do what's really important and free up time from their business to go spend time with their family, with their loved ones, with their friends, with their hobbies, out in nature, go do a spiritual retreat, like give them the tool. That's how you actually are going to make bigger impact. And going back to what I said about my ego and my soul having this like tug of war, the relationship should evolve as the company grows. So as I deploy systems, it's like, oh my God, that was magic. Yeah, but let me be a guide to show you that it's not really magic. It's just what I architected and what I deployed looks like magic, but here's actually the inner workings. And guess what? You could do this too. And if you want, right, you could do it too, but it's not something that, pulling a rabbit out of my hat. And then there's going from being a bottleneck to a coach. So for the example of where I walked in and I did this audit and someone was just burned $2,000 worth of tokens, I came in, I'm like, hey, if you actually deployed this work tool, this API key, this API is going to do everything that you need and it's not going to burn any tokens in that process. So because this is such a big process, just use this API key and you'll spend $29 a month on that API and you'll save all of your LLM tokens and all of your Claude tokens for the real compute power that's actually needed. So now I'm coaching them on like, hey, no, use this tool or use that tool, which actually feels better than having them just sit there and burn tokens. And I just want to drive this point home is that the hours that we're freeing up for these business owners, like, yeah, you have choice and you have agency in what to do with this free time now. If you want to spend more time on your business, by all means, go ahead, but don't fill it up with more junk. Be more strategic with your time. Take time to think, to strategize, and do the things that you've wanted to always do in the company because you haven't had time to do it. But now that you have this free time, go ahead and do that. But also, if you don't want to spend time working in and on the business, you've now freed up time to go live, to go spend time with your family and to enjoy your hobbies and spend time in nature and not be so handcuffed because you spend all of your waking hours doing the mundane tasks in the business that now AI agents can do. So to bring this home, my philosophy about all of this is to build around the current business, understand how everything works and integrates together before even implementing a workflow so that I can see the bottlenecks, so that I can feel the pain, so that I can understand this influences this. And if we implement a workflow or an agentic system, this whole thing can breathe and expand and grow in more capacity for the company and the business owner. And then from there, we empower the team so that they get on board. And because there's so many changes that could happen and that are happening with these systems coming in, we're empowering the team with these changes. We're supporting them and helping them use these tools and understand the architecture a little bit and understand how things work together so that they can start doing these things on their own. Even if it's just a little bit, they can feel more empowered. And then that helps the entire team, the customers, and the entire business. And from there, it's a snowball effect. It just compounds after that. And this is so true. If AI makes my clients need me less because they feel more capable and empowered in wielding these tools, then I actually did my job. If you got some value out of this, please hit the subscribe button and make sure you check out the description because it has a swipe file that's completely free that gives you all of my agents that I'm using to run my company as well as my clients' companies and all of the tools that I use for different tasks. And so you don't have to burn hundreds or thousands of dollars on tokens using Claude or ChatGPT.